I have a confession.
Tell me.
So I don't know if you've ever gotten really like just addicted to a food and just keep eating the same food like repeatedly over and over again. And
Only
then
every day.
yeah. And I remember I saw a TikTok out of it where some girl like was like, and this is what I eat until I just like want to vomit and I'm sick of it. And she was like, it's been going on. And she like has a calendar. It's like 2 years. And I'm like, I mean, maybe. So I have rediscovered the Applegate Farms organic, nitrate free, lower sodium hot dogs. And I've started putting them on like everything. Like I had them on salad. I put them on a pizza. I just had them for breakfast. And I don't know if anybody's tried the egg wraps from Trader Joe's. They're new. They're delicious. Rolled it up in an egg wrap. So good.
Egg wraps. Oh my God, I'm going to Trader Joe's today.
Oh, they're so good. So yeah, so I've become absolutely obsessed, but I probably have like 2 to 3 hot dogs a day now. And it's a lot of hot dog.
That's a lot of hot dogs.
It's a lot of hot dogs. But I'll like be like, well, I should eat something else. And I'll like, but the hot dogs.
I mean,
And so
whatever.
that's the life I'm currently living. You're looking at me. I'm just going to become a hot dog.
I am fueled by hot dogs.
It hasn't hurt my skin and I'm not having any problems with it. So I'm okay.
Oh, okay. That actually really does make me like nostalgic for like a good hot dog.
Well, it all started with me going to Shake Shack and being like, they have a really good hot dog, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I should find a hot dog at home. And so I went through a few different hot dogs. I'm like, these are not for me. I don't like this. And then Applegate Farms, nitrate-free, organic, low sodium.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah, they're like not inexpensive, but they're worth every penny I pay for them.
You know, if we talk about food, I'm going to need to go have a snack.
That's how it is. All right. Well, now that I've confessed to me just eating too many hot dogs, let's get this party started. Hi, I'm Sybil Solon. I'm an esthetician and spa owner.
And hi, I'm Alex Ellis. I'm a body nerd and wellness expert, and we are business besties.
And bosses. Running your own business, it's hard.
But we're terrible employees, so we're figuring it out.
I've already figured it all out, but we promise to share everything we know about what it takes to make 6 figures and beyond.
And be brutally honest about what works and what totally sucks.
A bunch of it totally sucks. But let's get started.
I mean, it's just so brutally honest. It really, truly is. Welcome back to Confessional Friend. On today's show, we're talking about paying people what they are worth and also knowing what you're worth, because that comes first.
And understanding that you have all of the power.
What?
I know.
Power? I feel like the last even like couple weeks, you and I have been talking about money stuff. I know personally, I have been working on unearthing a lot of money drama and money trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So money has been top of mind and paying people what they're worth. And we have a lot of family around who can take care of the dog when one of us is unavailable or out of town or something like that. And for some reason, literally everybody, I'm talking, sister-in-law, brother-in-law, in-laws, my parents, like everyone is out of town at the same time, myself included. And so we needed to hire a dog walker. And so we found someone who is a friend. And then, name your price. Oh, whatever you want, which I'm like, now I have to name a price. And so this started this conversation with my husband too, where he's like, well, I want to get the lowest price. And I'm like, this is my child. I would like to pay a little bit more so that my child is safe out in the world around. Because if she finds a hot dog, this dog is going to eat that damn hot dog.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she is.
And so I was talking to you about this, and then we just started talking about paying people what they're worth, because that, to me, that energetic exchange is not just happening when you're hiring a dog walker or buying hot dogs at the grocery store, right? Based on price or whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. But though that relationship with money is coming up in a bunch of different areas of your life, whether you're aware of it or not.
Absolutely. It surrounds you. And you've probably run into this, whether you realize it or not. And we work in a service industry. So we are constantly battling this idea of what are you worth, and being told to evaluate ourselves on our worth based on money, which is a very strange thing, because if you think that money equals your value, that's all you're worth. That's all you're made up of, is like what you can bring to the table, how much cash you can bring in. You know, it's a strange.
So I didn't know this was going to turn into a therapy session. Holy shit! I feel so attacked. I feel so attacked right now. But yeah, how so many of us are in that mind space.
Yeah, I mean, I fall into this all the time. Whereas, like, I had 2 years back to back where I have had an incredible loss in my business, and that's never been me. Like, I'm always a person who's earned, and it has been a bit debilitating, and I've had to really do a bunch of therapy around it, because it is about what you're worth. But a lot of it also has to do with how you see the people around you and what they're worth. Mm-hmm. So you have, like, I have a private trainer for many years that, like, I had to raise her fee. Like, I had to raise her. She's like, no, you're with me for a long time. I don't raise my people. And I'm like, but I want you to continue to see me and not just be like, I'm bouncing, bitch, because you don't want to raise me, but you're also, like, unhappy to come here. Mm-hmm. So these are all things to kind of think about when you are kind of deciding who are the best vendors, who are the people you're hiring, who are the people that you're surrounding yourself with, what can you give people that they are worth. And Alex and I also talked about how I grew up in the internet age. So I grew up in the time where, like, there literally was not an internet or websites, and then suddenly there were. And I worked in the tech field, and one of the things that happened in the tech field is that people are like, well, we need tech people, and they don't want to work for us because there aren't that many of them. So that they would, they'd give people, like, we'd give you kombucha on tap, and we'd have, like, paid holidays and food trucks and all this stuff to entice people to come work for you. We are now living in that age again, but it's everybody's kind of feeling that way.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not always just about money. It's about exactly that stuff you're talking about, like the extra outside pieces. It's how, people make you feel. Because I know all of us have that client who could literally pay us, like, all the fucking money in the world, and you still wouldn't want to work with them.
Yes.
So obviously, like, it's not about money. And then you have the people who are like, I would do this for you for free because I love you so much. Yeah. And because they love you and they see your worth, they won't let you do that.
That's correct.
So it's, it's like, it's the whole package. And I think sometimes we get so wrapped up into just the money piece that we get distracted. But I have a question for you. Yeah. What has worked for you in separating your worth from the money you bring in?
So I'll be honest with you. I have failed at this pretty hard. So I am really honest. We try to be really honest. We try to be really honest here on Skinfessional.
A little warm.
Yeah. For me, the best thing that has helped me is to realize that I provide more value than just the money I bring in. So people want to see me do surveys. People want to see you because of what you offer. And they're often seeing you not because of how much you cost. I'm doing a survey right now again, where people are, I put down, I'm like, here's rank these reasons why you would or wouldn't want to join a membership. And money is like almost at the bottom of them, and the first thing is, I want to see you regularly,
Yeah.
And for me, yeah. So I find that I actually have to go back to these kind of motivators and remind myself that I am not a dollar sign, and I've made up of more than that. And I surround myself by friends who are like, Sybil, you're awesome. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It's going to be fine.
I am speechless because I didn't know
it's hard.
Everybody to hear.
Yeah, I know. If you're sitting out there and you're like, this is some deep F shit. Yeah, man, it really is.
Yeah. And I feel too, like, we live in especially here, I don't know, maybe it's just my brain. I don't know. We live in a place where, like, the first question is, what do you do for work?
Yes.
And people are always questioning me, like, it's cool, but, like, what do you do for work? And I'm like, I do this. I run my own business.
When they ask what you're doing for work, what they mean is, how much money are you making? What is your worth? Like, if you're like, I'm a lawyer, you could be a shitty lawyer and make no money, right?
Lawyers are broke.
But you're a lawyer.
Yeah, there's, like, this social hierarchy based to the label.
Yes.
And it's like, I guess for me, the challenging piece has always been because, like, as you were talking as well, I'm like, oh, I can totally see that value for other people. And I find it far easier to see value in other people than I am able to for myself, which I know I'm not alone in that. You know, I'm like, of course, we pay this dog walker more, pay her all the money. Me? No, I'm just worth what I'm able to bring in. And that's not very much, which is like
Right.
fucking bananas. Bananas.
Right. Which is another reason why. So one of the things that happens, and your chemistry in your brain that begins to shift as you start to see value in other people, understand that they are worth more than just money, and it's not just a number. And it does start to affect you. So you will be like, but I am worth more. So like, I charge a lot of money. I charge more money than my peers, hands down. And even my peers, who I think some of them are like amazing. I have a couple that are better than me that I'm jealous of how incredible they are at their job. And I'm like, why aren't you charging more? And they're like, oh, I couldn't get it. I'm like, really? Because like I do. And I'm just little me and you're little old you. So you sometimes need to surround yourself by people who are like, no, you're worth that. And then just believe them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, the people you surround yourself, isn't there like that quote of like, you are the 5 people you associate with the most, or like some shit like that. But it is so true. Like I have, you know, I've talked before about the business coach investment I made and like how freaking pissed I am about that. But it put me in the room with other people who are like, hey, I made $80,000 today. I'm on track for $1 million this year. And like, I wouldn't have been in that space, but the way they just are able to casually talk about it and it's no big deal and then celebrate my wins in the same breath is just so like invigorating. And so that's important too, because like money isn't just like a thing, right? It's like the energy, like we're talking about it too. It's a vibe. And so if the people around you are like low vibing, right? Finding people who are able to lift you up, to help you see in yourself what you might not be able to see yet. Like that is, talk about worth, like that's worth anything that it takes to get there. Absolutely.
And so imagine yourself for a second. If you were like, okay, what if I raised my prices by $100? Does it make you worth more? Does it make you feel better about yourself? Did you feel icky even thinking about it? Were you like, do you start getting like freaked out? So Alex has been with me a long time. And when I first met Alex, she'd be like, oh, I can't raise my prices. I'm not doing that. It's too much. Alex is a great example of somebody who's kind of moved through a bunch of that. But yet, do you still live kind of in that land?
Oh my God. No, yeah. No, and also, you know, there's the logic part of your brain and then there's the emotional part of your brain.
Yeah.
And like, I'm also digging through the emotional shit. And like, you guys, it's like elephant style poop just piled high. I'm just like shit to muck through. So yes. I mean, and too, like I worked with a nutritionist who charges significantly less than I do. And she totally changed my life and helped me heal a lot of my relationship with food and how I, you know, like nourish myself. And I would have paid more and what felt like I got a steal on that. And then I look at my rates and I'm like, well, I'm charging like way more. And I'm like in a service industry, but it's just like, no, but it's charging what you're worth is not always about like the exact dollar amount. Like the dollar amount is not that important. It's what you provide and how you show up.
Right. And how you feel about it. So one of the things that happens a lot is that you have, I'm working with this person right now that she's the best in her field. She's really incredible. And I'm like, her book is like, there's a wait list on her book for up to a year, people. Up to a year she has a wait list. Okay. And I'm like, it's time for you to raise your prices because this is like when you raise your prices, it's ridiculous. And she was like, I already raised my prices. I don't feel ethically okay to raise them more than they are because it will price out the group of people that I originally wanted to serve. You know? And so my goal was to start working with her to find another way to indeed still price up, but to still find a way to find value for her and to serve the people she wants to serve. Because what she actually said to me was she wants to serve a certain group of people. And I heard, I don't care how much money I make. And I'm like, I always care how much money you make. That's my job. But what you're not doing is you are holding yourself back because you want to serve a group. But for me, I look at that and I'm like, you can serve more people if you make more money.
Yeah. Well, also, I feel like there's this shame. I know in the yoga space, like making money is just like, oh, how dare you? You're so materialistic. And like outgrowing what these external expectations of like
Mhm.
what you are allowed to make. And I think
Absolutely.
in like healing industries and like, you know, the caring service is like
Yep.
that guilt and shame is piled very
Well, the
heavily on.
idea is that we're supposed to be pious and poor. This is like
Yeah.
these are these ideas that come with it. So because you help and you heal people, you should be pious and poor. And I'm like, no, I should be well taken care of and happy. And my happiness is often attained by the things that I can purchase to make myself comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, I need to
Mm-hmm.
have money. Also, once again, money allows you to take extra time off. It allows you to pay those people who are walking your dog more money because they are worth
Mm-hmm.
it. So we also
Mm-hmm.
talked about car wash people. So you and I both have had experiences where we love our detail people or whatever, but they go out of business all the time, and the reason why is because they're not charging enough money.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I saw this one is online. The dude literally made a shitty car look brand freaking new. And it took him hours. He's like, I charged $60. And I was like, what is wrong with you, sir? This is like
Right.
$600.
Right. And
Yeah.
I have my, for example, I had a guy who would come to my house and he would take care of our vehicle, and, you know, he would charge me a certain amount of money, and I still gave him like a pretty hefty tip, but he just like stopped coming by. And I'm like, is it because he didn't ask me for enough money and he expected me to like give him even more? Because ask for what you want, ask for what you
Mhm.
deserve. And those people will come and pay you that. And the people who don't, they don't value you anyways.
Mhm. Mhm. I mean, I had a private client too. I would drive to their house every single week. It was like a long ass drive in traffic. Um, and they weren't paying me what I'm worth. What I, yeah, but I
Yeah.
like didn't want to raise the rate. So then I just resented having to go over there all the time, which
I
is like
remember that
not
person.
helpful either.
I
Yeah. So
remember
it's just
that,
like,
and I'd be like, "Get rid of him, Alex." So how did that
I
finally
know
end?
the money. A pandemic happened and I got a free,
Mhm.
like, honestly, like the pandemic ripped off a band-aid and forced me to step into a bigger version than, and I was scared to. And then I had no choice.
And I think that the pandemic has really helped people realize that what they really want. And for
Yeah.
some people, it is set them adrift because they're like, "I don't actually know what I really want. I
Yeah.
actually am I don't know. I've had this like hyper focus aware of like, this is what I do, this is what I do, this is what I do." And now suddenly they're like, "But I guess I could do something different or more, or I don't know." There's so many options.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it opened up their field of vision. They were wearing blinders. Now your field of vision is open. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's really scary for some people.
Yeah. Super scary. And also, like, this is fucking traumatic and it was hard. And I'm sure
Yeah.
at this point, everybody knows people who have been affected or
Hmm.
lost someone in some way. And so to still like give a shit about driving to Silver Lake on a Wednesday evening, I'm just like, I can't fucking care if I tried. And I think you posted something on social media like yesterday, the day before, about like productivity,
Hmm.
right? And
Yes. Oh
like,
my
you know,
God. Mm.
worthiness and like earning your keep and like productivity and like
Oh, I'm
being
going to pull that
busy
up.
are things that have been always valued in our society. And like, what happens when I just don't care anymore? And I've
Right.
been struggling with that of like, I don't feel like working. I spent the afternoon doing nothing, um, and still made money because of the business model I've set up. But like, does that still count?
Yes.
Should I have made more? You know, it's just like, ah.
Also, we're just working a lot, right? So we're just working because one of the things that it's done for me is it's just created a lot of working. I'm actually going to read this because it's called Productivity Guilt. And
Yeah.
I just felt it was so right on for me. And then I've gotten more DMs about this than any other thing I've posted. Product, and by the way, the original poster of this is somebody called the Brain Coach. All right, so
Mhm.
shout out to the Brain Coach. Productivity guilt, a mindset of feeling bad when you aren't working hard, achieving your goals, or doing something to benefit your career. It often leads to intrusive thoughts about how you never complete tasks on time, you are not good enough, and you haven't done anything with your life. This guilt to be constantly doing something can feel draining and exhausting, and it can be quite triggering, and it creates paralysis and it stops you from doing anything at all.
Again, you didn't tell me this was in therapy today, and I feel fucking attacked. But like, holy shit, especially like for a person and any overachiever, perfectionist, I think will also feel this. When you have tied your value and your worth to how hard you work, and you are waiting for people outside of you to say, good job, you've done it, you are now successful. Not working, resting is like literally a big fuck you to what these ideals that are no longer healthy. I mean, I think fully acknowledge that. And like, I have been trying like piece by piece, like toothpick by toothpick to dismantle that, because that's baked literally into my DNA. And so, you know, that starts with even like yesterday, the day before, you know, I finished work and I go sit down on the couch, and my husband, because normally, right, I do this and I go straight into dinner, and then like we rest and like watch TV or whatever. And he's like, aren't you gonna make dinner? And I looked at him, I was like, no, I'm gonna sit here on my ass and watch television. And he goes, okay. But like that literally me 6 months ago, 3 months ago, never would have been able to do that. So like, this is when you're like, well, how do I get to the point where I'm no longer equating, or less frequently equating, my worth to the money I bring in the door, is like making decisions like that. It's like spending Saturday reading a book because you fucking feel like it. It's hard work.
It's hard work. It's living like you're a teenager again. Essentially, you're like, I didn't want to do this, so I just effing didn't. I wanted to sit in bed and just read with my cat, so I did. Yeah. But it's allowing yourself to do it. And the thing is, this is the hard part. You have to be able to do it without guilt.
No, it's pleasure.
Yeah, you're just enjoying it. So I think one of the things that I have realized is that there are kind of a few pieces to the puzzle to do this. And I want you to kind of listen to this, and you might have to listen to this episode a couple times. This is one of our deepest episodes, in my opinion. So I mean, Alex and I are both like, Alex and I are both like blowing our own minds today. Okay.
Yes.
Ask yourself, what do you really want? Then say to yourself, believe that you deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
Have the courage.
This might take years.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. Have the courage. And it is hard. It is hard to stand up. And sometimes the courage is even asking it of yourself. Like asking yourself to like, I want to go on vacation. I want to sit on the couch and just do nothing.
Me. Yeah.
Right? Then you want to make sure you know that if it isn't given to you, that you can walk away and you can find it somewhere else because you have all the power.
I think we give our power to determine our worth to other people and things, be it money or, you know, people in our lives. We're waiting for them to say, you did it. But if you can't design or like success for yourself, like if you don't know what that is, and I'm just want you to know, I'm saying this because like I don't have it fucking figured out either, right?
No, but we both don't have it figured out. This is not that episode.
No, next episode maybe. But knowing what you want and then believing that you're worth it. And even if you spend a lot of time there working on that, that's fine. And when you feel good with that, then you start to ask for it, which I've done a couple times this week of like asking for shit. And I'm like, ah, and like, maybe people say no, but okay. The fact that you even had the bravery to ask for it, like that's the win.
Yes. Yes.
And it's step by step.
Absolutely. And one of the things I think is always really interesting is start paying attention to the people who just say yes. Like you're stressed out and you're freaked out and you're like, oh, they're going to say no. And all the crazy goes on in your head. And when you finally ask, they're like, okay, that's it. No, they had no drama. They're just like, yeah, all right, that's cool. I understand. And as you start to mark those pieces, literally mark them and put them on your calendar if you need to, start journaling about it, mark them in your mind, but really start marking that point. Sit down and really think about that moment, feel that moment inside. You will start to realize that happens over and over and over again. And the only person who is stopping you from like getting what you're worth and asking for what you want is often just you.
That's the truth right there. That's the confession.
Terrible. It's the worst.
I mean, I feel like I need to go reprocess this whole episode.
So On that note, we'd like to, we'd like you to send us your DMs.
Yeah,
Tag
we
us.
want to hear from you.
Yeah.
Are you also on the verge of tears? Do you feel fucking called out right now? Are you also going to go back and listen to this episode again and let it wash over you and maybe, just maybe, let a drop of that truth soak in? Send us a DM. Tag us on Instagram. You can find the show at Skinfessional. You can find Sybil at Skin Fitness Expert. You can find moi at Hala for Mala. You can also call us and leave us a message in our freshly sugared box. What's that number?
Yeah. So we're old school, 818-473-5277. I do want to give a shout out. We actually had a bunch of people call up about the last episode we put up, which was in regards to people like feel like listening to themselves and their own feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently there are a bunch of us who just don't. So I'm glad that it helped you start listening to yourself. May this one help you listen to yourself even more.
We're getting unzipped, y'all, and we will maybe zip it back up. I don't know. You can also, if you want to write out your words, you can send us an email. And we are skinfessionalpod@gmail.com. That's Skinfessional, like the show name. Just look at your device where you're listening to this. pod@gmail.com.
Though I will say, I think we've only received like 0 emails. I think maybe one email. Apparently we don't live in an email generation anymore.
It's all you Gen Xers.
I know. We like to phone call. We like to phone call and DM and all those things instead.
I have to call someone. Ew.
I'm also going to ask for the likes and the follows. And if you haven't written a review, please go on to Apple Podcasts and do so, because I don't usually troll for it, but I'd love one right now. This episode's been particularly good for it. So please do.
Yes.
Until next week.
Keep your secrets to yourself.
Unless you're telling us.
Okay, bye.
Bye.